Hi, I just watched a video from a New York clinic, HC, and they were talking about disposable embryos and abandoned embryos, to use them for human research. See, my embryos weren't abandoned. I was using them, but the doctor was using them too to help another couple. See, I'm trying to fight this. And I just sent an email to the detectives to ask them where they are on the investigation. I'm not letting this go. And right now I'm doing everything that's possible. You see, I've been to a shady doctor and all his colleagues said the same thing, watch out for him. But when you're dealing with a shady person and they're upfront about it, they want private blood tests done in the US when we have Medicare. And one of the blood tests that he did send me for, it was given out at the French hospital only. The English hospitals don't do that blood test. And when I went to Notre Dame Hospital, it was a blood test actually for folic acid, to do levels on folic acid. And that was like $800 US, that blood test. And like I told him, it's like most women, before getting pregnant, would start a prenatal the vitamin. And he goes, yeah. And I go, so why do you need the blood test? Because he gets a profit out of sending the blood test to that sender. And you see, when couples go in and they want a baby, they're willing to do anything that the doctor wants you to do. And he tells you, if you go through the public system, it's going to be slow. And most of the people will just say, you know what, I'm just going to do it because I want to get treatment started as fast as possible. I didn't. Like, I wanted a baby, a third child, from 2013. Like, I told everybody, I'm going to get pregnant. I want another child. I got refused for treatment at the Royal Victoria Hospital in Fertility. They said a woman my age, it would take so long to get pregnant and it wouldn't happen. And I tried other clinics, and at that time, the government was funding IVF for women. When they stopped funding, that's when I got the phone calls. I actually went to Kiev, Ukraine, to a clinic called Nadia Clinic. Beautiful clinic, by the way, and the people were amazing, the nurses were amazing, the doctors, everybody was really good to me, very kind, and I would have continued the treatment there. But when it opened up here in Canada and I didn't have to spend time flying there and flying back, that's when I decided to go back and not to see the doctor that everybody didn't like. And I did it with him. And he failed the cycle on purpose. And I told him, like I tell my kids, I give you one chance, and one chance only. Lose it, steal it, whatever, and that it's gone. I'll never come back to you. I told my son that when I bought him his first iPhone. He took care of his phone because he knows he'll never get it again. I left. Then I went to another clinic, which was close by. And I went there and did the retrieval there. I had 8 embryos. And then I did a transfer. I paid for the retrieval, everything the same day, plus $1,000 to freeze it. I told him I don't want nothing to be destroyed. Absolutely nothing. And if you don't think it's good enough for your clinic, I will go to another clinic. Because I didn't think I would get pregnant. Like, I had this negative thing in my head from hearing it from all these doctors that at my age, I would never get pregnant. It will never happen. And I don't care how many times I will try. And I did the transfer, and then he goes, only one embryo can be transferred, not two, because of the abuses with everything, and all the kids that were being born, like 12 babies at once, and it's like, I go, okay, I have 7, it's okay. But when I came back to do the blood test, he told me that I had 3, and I was upset. And then I go to him, you had no right to do that. He goes, well, it's destroyed. And then I did the blood test. And then like an hour later, well, I did a urine test, but it's like, it was positive on Mother's Day of 2018. And that was for my son, Zane. What happened was, then an hour later, the blood test came back. It was really high. And it was amazing. I was happy. Like, I was extremely happy. And what happened was that I let it go. I go, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I got what I wanted. It's fine. What are you going to do? Are you going to cry over spilled milk that something was destroyed? But when I went back to go get pregnant for my daughter, and he goes, but you have a baby. And I go, yes, but I want another one. I have 3 embryos. I have 3 tries. And he goes, well, you're going to need a letter from your gynecologist, a letter from the high-risk doctor, a letter from the endocrinologist. I did. But all the doctors that I deal with, they know me. When I want something, I'm going after it, and nothing will stop me. Nothing. Everybody gave it to me instantly. And then when I went to see the endocrinologist, which is right across from the clinic that I'm talking about, I went into his office. Okay, she said it's fine. He goes, well, I need written proof. I go, okay, I'll be back in 5 minutes. I went across the street. I got it. And then I came back with it. He goes, how did you get that? I go, because she knows what I want, and she knows that I'm going for it. And here's her letter. He couldn't say anything. He was dumbfounded because he already gave all of my embryos to that woman. In November, coming out of the transfer room, I met her. And she looked at my son. She goes, you're so lucky. I go, what happened for you? And what happened was that she did say she had to give away one of her embryos. Embryos are property. Her husband belittled her and told her to shut the fuck up. You know you're not allowed talking about this. And I did email the doctor. I did tell him. He goes, I can't talk about another patient. And what happened was, this is the woman that got my embryo. And okay, come here. And what happened was that she didn't get pregnant in November. Neither did I. In December, there was another transfer. And what happened was that this nurse in the clinic was asking me questions about my family, the dynamics, everything. And I go, I just had a baby. She was tapping her foot. She was making me nervous. I told the doctor I want her to leave. He goes, someone has to be there. And what happened was that... Okay, you want to see? Okay, see. And what happened was, she ran out of the room with the embryo tube, and the doctor said, I did the transfer. No ultrasound machine, no nothing. He goes, I was really fast, trust me. I didn't know what to do. I was dumbfounded, shocked. What do I do? I went home, I emailed him. I go, it wasn't done. And he goes, trust me, it was done. Then he sent an email saying that the nurse is not allowed to touch the embryo tube. Then why did she touch it? She ran out into the hallway, not to the lab. He stopped me. See, in life, things always come back to bite you in the ass. He should have stopped her. He should have got it back, did the retrieval, and no one would be the wiser. But he chose to follow through on what her actions put into process. And right now, he has to pay for what he did. Like, he covered up by when I went back and I didn't get pregnant. Another nurse and the secretary were really upset that this should never have happened. The woman already came in, did her blood test, and she was pregnant 6 times. And right now, that was my last embryo, because I had 3 embryos. One went to her in November, one went to me, supposedly. And what happened was, so that's 3. The last embryo was in December. That's when she ran out of the room with it. I did an endometrial biopsy, $180. It was normal. And then he scheduled another transfer for me. And that was in February. No embryo. There was no embryos to transfer. This was to keep up his lies. Instead of coming forward and telling me, listen, there was a clinical decision, there's no more embryos, I'm sorry. You know, he put me through pain. And if you've ever been through IVF, it's not an easy procedure for nobody. You have to take medication, pills, vaginal, oral, and the injection of the progesterone. The progesterone shots are very painful, especially when you start swelling up and you get these lumps the size of eggs on the back of your ass. You know, it's like, it is very painful. And he put me through that. Not only did he take my money, he manipulated me, he lied, he stole my child. I never agreed to share my cycle. I never agreed to do anything. I have multiple contracts. And what good is a contract if the doctor's going to manipulate it? You see, right now I am disgusted, especially with the Canadian government. I found out that IVF is not covered. There's so many gray zones, and you're not protected. Your property is not protected. I paid for the freezing, and they were using my embryos while it was in storage. With it, the payment's up to date, everything. I didn't abandon my embryos. Like some people, like, I'm not saying it's right, but they're supposed to send out a registered letter to you telling you you owe another $1,000. You have to pay it, or otherwise it would be considered abandoned. And even if you don't pay, they're still not allowed to destroy your embryos. They're supposed to keep it indefinitely. That is not the case. Doctors are using your property. So if you think you're going to be okay, and even if you don't pay it, you can go back and use your property, let me tell you, if you go back to try to use your property, it's gone. And like anything in life, everything has value. And especially for an infertile couple that can't create their own embryos and they don't know where to go, they will take the offer off the doctor. And you know what? Even though they paid the doctor and she did conceive, it's stolen. It was stolen out of the transfer room. And right now the Montreal police are investigating it. Trust me, they didn't want to do a police report. I spoke to Anthony Hall's father and he goes, use my name. I did. He told me the Liberals were going to pass a bill on IVF, but when they lost the election, they couldn't do that. So any woman who is doing IVF or did IVF and has embryos in storage, verify with your clinic that it's still there. See what's going on. Because in my case, it was being used while I was using it. He said he destroyed 4 embryos. He didn't destroy it. He gave it to that woman. Those embryos didn't work for her. And November was her 5th try. December was the 6th. He had my cycle and her cycle lined up together. Where do you see that is right? and manipulating. You see, everything can be controlled with medication. And to, lining up cycles and everything. And he had her at the same time as me. Was he just gonna pretend doing it and then fish me along? And I don't know. Like right now, I have so many questions and no answers, and I want answers. I think I'm entitled for it. Later on tonight, once the kids are in bed, I will be going on YouTube Live, and I will be trying to get the kinks out of the system, because like some people are trying to make comments and everything, and it's not going through. And it's not that I don't want to answer you back. It's just that I can't if I don't get the message through. Like right now, I'm trying to work it out and everything, and just bear with me, and we'll figure it out. Gary's trying to work it out. Like he's doing the computer part. I'm not computer literate at all, so just bear with me, and I will answer everybody back, and I will be discussing what happened. I will be discussing what happens with the police department, the detective division. I will talk to them, and I will tell them that I will be releasing their names, the detectives who are investigating the case. I will let them know that it will become public knowledge that they did the investigation.
Here, Mommy.
And what was their answer. Because I think everybody has the right to know. When there's abuses in the system, everybody should be made aware of them. And unfortunately, a lot of us, like myself included, I never knew there was a gray zone in IVF. It never occurred to me. You see, with all new technology, there's always going to be abuses. Just like when the computers first came in 2000, when everything started booming and internet started coming in every single household. The world opened up to us. And like anything else, there's abuses on the internet, there's abuses with everything, and we have to safeguard our children. With IVF, we have to do the same thing. We have to save our children, not to be stolen from us and transplanted into another woman, and her giving birth without your knowledge. The only reason why I found out was these things that were occurring in the clinic. And like anything else, there's two people in the... Okay, that's my son, demanding Thomas. That's his new favorite thing right now. Thomas and Paw Patrol.
Thomas and Paw Patrol?
Yes, and like anything else, we have to stop it. We have to stop it. And we will, if everybody stands up together, we can make a difference. Right now, I'm doing this on my own, that the abuses that happen with me, and talking from a personal point. But this is a silent crime. Silent crimes happen when your back is turned. Remember that. Theft in a laboratory, you have to trust your doctor. You have to trust what he's saying. And you try to believe in what he's saying. But when things unfold, what are you going to do? You have to fight back. Like he said he was going to make it up to me. I paid $32,000 for the cycle for my daughter. And I'm not a rich woman. Far from it. I had a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of crying, not knowing where the money was coming from. And God willing, I did get the money together. And we're talking $100,000 for 3 cycles. 3 cycles at $32,000 a cycle. It adds up very fast. My son's cycle was $64,000. Another 32 for my daughter, with no embryos in storage. 4 couldn't even be graded. He goes, that sometimes happens with a cycle. He did it to me again. So you know what? Once the clinic is investigated, we will find out the truth. And we will put a stop to this abuse. It is abuse. Because right now, you know what? I never signed up to help another woman get pregnant. I went there for me. Just like every other couple goes in. You go in to create a child for you. I feel sorry for these people. But there are clinics you can go to get an ovum donor. Sperm donor. Donated embryos. There are resources. But doctors are not allowed to talk about it. And this is where the abuse comes in. If a doctor offers you something and you're desperate for a baby, you're going to take him up on it, no matter the cost. All right, the natives are restless. Bye.